Hello everyone, welcome again to the channel. Today I want to share with you a few stories in relationship with the current events in Ukraine, the situation in Ukraine. So the first one is this article from TASS says Ukrainian army uses kindergartens to deploy firing positions according to Russian authorities. So they are reporting, this is from June 25, it says Ukraine's armed forces have set up sniper positions near a kindergarten in Konstantinovka. They also set up armed depots at a kindergarten in Nikolaev. That comes from the head of Russia's National Defense Control Center, Mikhail Mizintsev. So what they're saying is that in Konstantinovka, which is part of the Donetsk Oblast, they put some firing and sniper positions near to this kindergarten that is called the kindergarten number 15 in Slavianskaya Street. And it says that the surrounding area to the building has some mines, and they didn't tell the people that has been living there about these things. They also mentioned that they set up warehouses with weapons, munitions and petrol lubricant products on a kindergarten in Nikolaev, and they stationed large caliber artillery weapons in a densely populated area, and he emphasized that the residents are not allowed to leave their apartments. So why is this significant? This is significant because it shows a pattern of behavior of the Ukrainian armed forces. This has been already reported before in other war theaters in Ukraine. So this is consistent. It seems like the policy is not an isolated event. A lot of people in Mariupol reported that they were doing this. They were stationing artillery pieces near apartment buildings. So what they're doing is they are kind of provoking a reaction from the Russian army. So they are on purpose they are doing this. They are firing artillery against the Russians. This is part of a propaganda campaign. If you need to understand, there are some rules for war. These rules are probably very recent, is probably a consequence of the indiscriminate activities that happened during World War II, where everything was kind of allowed from both sides. There were famous carpet bombing, as they call it, which is indiscriminate bombing of densely populated areas. They were dropping just bombs in cities, not caring about whether there were military targets or not. They were just bombing everything, absolutely everything. This happened a lot in World War II. The United States still conducts their wars in this manner. They basically bomb everything in a specific area. They don't care if there are civilians, hospitals, or anything. That's how they do it. If you don't believe me, you can see even videos about how they conducted their operations in Iraq when they invaded. So that's how they do it. But there are certain rules, commonly accepted rules, which people that are conducting war should adhere to. It's not enforced by any military or international agreement. Basically, any army can do whatever they want, but it's considered, let's say, considered a good conduct to avoid targeting civilians. So when you are stationing military equipment near a civilian area, automatically this area becomes a military target. But a lot of people don't know this, and the Ukrainians take advantage of this, and so they purposely station military equipment, or even weapons, munitions, or all kinds of military, let's say, materials in places that are supposed to be civilian buildings, like kindergarten, schools, hospitals. So later, when the Russian army discovers that these targets are actually military targets and they destroy them, then they use the propaganda to say, okay, you see, the Russians are targeting civilians. And to be honest, the Ukrainians have been very effective in this propaganda. Unlike the Russians as a whole, as a nation, and particularly in this war, in this conflict, they have not been focusing too much on the campaign, on information war. I don't know if they should do it or not, but that's why a lot of people tend to have a biased perception of the operations, military operations in Ukraine, because the Ukrainian side has been very systematic in this. They are using all the information they have to kind of smear, create a bad reputation for the military of Russia, and it is completely how to say, is not it's just not reflective of the reality in the ground. They're doing all these provocations, and later they claim that it is the Russians who are attacking civilians. Yes, so you know what is really happening. And I have two stories. These are relation to Ukraine using Tochka-U missiles to attack positions in Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic. If you remember, there was a story a few weeks ago about a Tochka-U missile that fell on the Kramatorsk train station, and it was also part of the propaganda campaign from Ukraine. They bombed the place with a Tochka-U missile and then later blamed it on the Russians. Well, they continue to use these kind of missiles. So they say Ukraine fires Tochka-U missiles in Svatovo. This is in Luhansk. So they shelled the town of Svatovo with a Tochka-U missile system. One missile was fired from the settlement of Drushkovka. And there is another story. This is from June 25. And this is another story, again from June 25. It says the Ukrainian armed forces fire 4 missiles at settlements of the People's Republic of Lugansk using a Tochka-U missile system. And they targeted Stakhanov, Bryanka, and Teplishnoye. And on Saturday, they target also Svatovo, like we mentioned in the previous story. They say in recent days, the Ukrainian military has been shelling the territory of the Luhansk People's Republic with Tochka-U tactical missiles almost daily. So they never stopped doing this, and people that lives in these regions know that this is what the Ukrainian army is doing regularly. So going back to the original comment that if you remember the Kramatorsk story, so this gives credence to the point that it was the Ukrainian army who fired this rocket and not the Russian military. This is an article from Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is having very strange articles. Sometimes they are very biased to Ukraine. Sometimes they are a little bit more objective. I really don't know. Maybe depends on each individual journalist how they want to frame it. But anyway, this one says Russian appointed official in occupied Kherson was killed in blast. So the senior official has been killed, and it was an assassination. The name of the person was Dmitry Zaplushenko. He was head of the family's youth and sports department, and he was killed in a bomb blast. Then they mentioned some other things. They said it was a targeted assassination, adding that the official was the only person killed in the blast. The explosion had burned 2 cars and shattered the windows of a nearby 4-story house. And they say that they want to frame it here like this is some kind of a resistant, like civilian resistant. They call it partisan activity. Partisan is some kind of phrase for framing it as if the population in this area doesn't agree with the Russian occupation. Maybe there is some of that, or maybe it's like they call them also saboteurs, you know, people that infiltrate the population and they do this in like basically terrorist attacks. That's what they are. There was another one. They say on Wednesday a pro-Russian official in the village of Chornovaivka survived the explosion of a bomb planted on his car. Later 2 Russian soldiers had been killed and another wounded when a gunman opened fire at a waterside cafe in the city of Kherson. Local prison head who had joined the Russian administration was wounded in a bomb blast. And also before, the mayor of Enerhodar in the southern Zaporizhia region was wounded in an explosion that Moscow blamed on Ukrainian nationalists. So now let's take a look here. Yes, this part here. That's what I want. That's why I wanted to show you the next stories, because they say that Russian invasion of Ukraine has seen regular civilian protests that were put down by Moscow troops. So I wanted to see how regular these civilian protests are, to see if there's really some kind of pattern. So if you see here, this is probably the first protest that took place, and this took place on March 5. This was a rally against Russian occupation, and then there was some kind of blowback about these. Apparently they were dispersed. I don't know why exactly. Maybe there were some violence in the protest. I don't know the specific details. You can go to Al Jazeera or to this article. I will post a link in the description, and there is this video showing some parts of the things that took place in this protest from March 5. But later what I found was it was another protest, another rally pro-Ukraine, and this was on April 27. And they say here, this is from another website. It says there have been occasional anti-occupation rallies in Kherson, and crowds gather again in the city center on April 27. So you see the difference in the language. Here they say occasional, and in this one they say that this has been regular civilian protests. So there's a big difference between regular civilian protests and occasional anti-occupation rallies. So journalists sometimes are not very honest in their reporting. There was another rally in April 3 in Kherson. They say in Kherson people went on a rally again and the Russians did not have time to disperse. So this is a photo from this, and I couldn't find anything else, to be honest. Maybe there are more, but as far as I was able to search, I only found 3 rallies. One on April 3, one on April 27, and the original from March 5. So 3 rallies. So it seems to me that they are not really very regular. I don't doubt the fact that probably there are some people there who disagree with the occupation. I don't deny that fact. Maybe it's possible that some people are not interested in becoming part of Russia or anything else. But that's why there are, talks about having a referendum that will give, the people the opportunity to decide what they want to do. But I think in one of these articles they say that they don't want the referendum. So I don't agree with that. I think it gives people the opinion to voice their choices, what they want, what they don't want. I think it will be in the benefit of everyone to have these kind of polls or opinions. This is another article. Another story says Russian sappers demine almost 19 hectares of LPR, DPR territory, and this happened in 24 hours. Overall, they already inspected and removed mines from 3,560 hectares of the territories of Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republic. So that is in relation to another article I reported, I think it was yesterday, where they were mentioning that it will take 10 years to clear all the explosive objects in Ukraine after the conflict ended. So this is coming a report from the other side, a report from Donetsk and Lugansk. So they're cleaning, especially that's what they're doing exactly. Infrastructure is what it was mentioning in the other article I quoted yesterday. 13 social facilities, 2 bridges, some kilometers of roads, and in all nearly 32,592 explosive objects have been detected and defused, including 2,127 over the past 24 hours. So like I said, this is something that needs to be done because it's a latent danger for everyone. Unfortunately, this happens, innocent people die from explosives that lay down undetected. And this is a complement to something I already reported about this kind of a decision from the education department of Ukraine to remove Russian culture. Now they are reporting that the Odessa library, they are going to dispose of the collection of contemporary Russian literature, and they decided to cancel Russian language literature classes in all schools in the region. So that's part of the culture change they want to impose on everyone. And this is another rally. This is now in the opposite side. This is in support of Russia, and it was in Marseille, in France. So this was organized by the people of the consulate, Russian consulate, and it was a demonstration in support of Russia and the Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, and this was in Marseille. About 100 people took part, and this was in Square Monticello in Marseille. They had 2 video conferences, one with journalist Christelle Nialt, which covers conflict-related developments in Ukraine and Donetsk People's Republic, and the French volunteer Ervan Castel. They spoke about all kinds of things, life and work in the DPR, how positively the residents of Donbass took the news of the arrival of the Russian army. So I think this is the kind of things that Russia should be doing more. They should be informing people of their point of view, because their point of view is equally valid. So people should have the opinion, should have the opportunity to form their own opinion, and in this I think Russia has been lacking. They haven't been so active providing information to people. This has a lot to do with the culture of Russia. Russian people are usually not too talkative. They are not too much in favor of trying to prove themselves, trying to prove something to anyone. They have the opinion of let facts speaks better than than just words. So that's my opinion. I think Russia should do more to inform people about what things are happening, where everything is taking place. Their point of view is equally valid. That's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about it, and as always, I ask you to please like the video, share it in social media, subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you for watching.